everything that is essentially unfolding as far as Donald Trump, and more in the aspect of how he's taken over now. And what we're looking at is that he's begun his crackdown on diversity programs, which were created, remember, to support people who come from various backgrounds. Now, in an otherwise a whites-dominated America, that is. Now, the president has now ordered all U.S. government staff employed through the diversity, equity, and inclusion, that is the DEI schemes, to be put on immediate paid leave, and they are further likely to be eventually laid off. Now, it is currently unclear how many people will be affected by this, but the uncertainty over the future of this scheme clearly looms large. Now, in one of his executive orders, Trump has called for an end to the dangerous, demeaning, and immoral programs. Even in his inaugural address, Trump had pledged to forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. All right, that is the latest. Of course, we'll try going across to Times Network consultant Srinjoy to read more into that for us. But this is, of course, a huge step, a crackdown in that order as far as the diversity programs that we are given to understand. Remember, as far as the diversity programs that the U.S. is concerned, this was created to support people who come from, various backgrounds and walks of life, which is, of course, in another sense, a white-dominated country. But the president, that is Trump, has now ordered all U.S. government staff employed through this particular program that we're mentioning, that is the DEI schemes, to be put to an immediate paid leave. That would be the employers taking that particular decision with that order for employees to be put on immediate paid leave, and they're further likely to be eventually laid off. But of course, it goes on to raise several questions as to how many people will be affected by this. That's not known at this point, but this also indicates a large sense of uncertainty given the fact that this scheme also is into question. But let's also tell you earlier, in one of his executive orders, that is, Trump called for an end to the dangerous, demeaning, and immoral programs. That's how he referred to it. But at the same point of time, if you're speaking about his inaugural address, he had pledged to forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. But of course, this would raise several questions about how that move would be looked at while he terms the DEI dangerous. So when it comes to his particular reaction or point of view as to what he makes of the DEI, he's very clear that, in his opinion, that it's dangerous, demeaning, and immoral. We're going to break that down for you, but let's also tell you otherwise what is happening in the U.S. because matter of fact is that, marking a significant step aligning with U.S. President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown policy, the U.S. House of Representatives have passed a landmark immigration detention bill, the Laken Riley Act. Now, aimed at, of course, tightening immigration enforcement, the Laken Riley Act directs federal authorities to deport immigrants who are accused but not yet convicted of specific crimes, provided they are in the country illegally. Now, what does that mean? Essentially, this provision bypasses the need for a criminal conviction before deportation. Let's also draw perspective for you. Remember, the Laken Riley Act is named after a Georgia student who was murdered by a Venezuelan man in 2024 with no papers, who was wanted for shoplifting. Now, President Donald Trump is expected to sign it into a law upon his return to the White House this week. But the act, of course, impacts Indian migrants, increasing detention risks for minor offenses and complicating pathways to citizenship and work permits. Let's also tell you, meanwhile, the House of Democrats has bashed passing of the act, citing serious flaws in the GOP-led bill. Let's listen into the reaction.
Look, it's very clear that House Republicans are going to push an anti-immigrant agenda. There are serious flaws in this bill. It did not come up before the Judiciary Committee. This has not gone through the normal traditional process. We're going to continue to have robust discussions about immigration policy, about border security. The Democratic caucus believes in the rule of law. We also believe in a process, and we believe in the fundamental principle that people accused of crimes have the ability to respond. And that doesn't mean that if you're accused of a crime, you should be deported.
All right. As far as this is concerned, let's also tell you day one of US President Donald Trump's blitz saw him signing flurry of executive orders, including giving life to the Department of Government Efficiency. And this was set to be co-led by tech bros, that is Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. However, as soon as it turned into a reality from merely a social media hype, it has clearly run into troubled waters because co-chair Vivek Ramaswamy has resigned amid an alleged rift with Musk. Let's tell you, according to a US media report, Musk was behind the ouster primarily due to his critical views on the H-1B work visa, that is. In a tweet in late December, Ramaswamy had criticized the American culture and said that companies prefer foreign workers over Native Americans due to the veneration of mediocrity over excellence. Now, this is what seemed to have irked Musk, who has been a vocal proponent of H-1B visas on multiple occasions and has also admitted that even his companies make extensive use of the program. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy, on the other hand, is planning to run for Ohio governor, and he decided to opt out as he will not be able to campaign, that is, while leading it. But whatever may be the reason for Ramaswamy's exit, that is, the debate over H-1B visas continues, with even Donald Trump struggling to pick a side yesterday. What exactly did he say? Listen in.
I like both sides of the argument, but I also like very competent people coming into our country, even if that involves them training and helping other people that may not have the qualifications they do. But I don't want to stop. And I'm not just talking about engineers. I'm talking about people at all levels. We want competent people coming into our country. And HB1, I know the program very well. I use the program. We have to have the quality people coming in. Now, by doing that, we're expanding businesses, and that takes care of everybody. So I'm sort of on both sides of the argument, but what I really do feel is that we have to let really competent people, great people, come into our country, and we do that through the H-1 program.
Right, marking a significant step aligning with the US President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown policy, the US House of Representatives has passed a landmark immigration detention bill, that is the Laken Riley Act. In fact, aimed at tightening immigration enforcement, the Laken Riley Act directs federal authorities to deport immigrants who are accused but not yet convicted of specific crimes, provided they're in the country illegally. This provision bypasses the need for a criminal conviction before deportation. But before we get more talking about that, let me cut across to Shreya Upadhyay, my colleague joining me this morning, who will of course help us better understand what this moves and the impact of the same. Shreya, very good morning to you. Given the aspect of a quick takeaway that we put into perspective for our viewers, while you tell us the latest, that would have larger implications as well.
Good morning, Nivedna, and good morning to all our viewers. You are right, Nivedna. This bill, which will now go to President Donald Trump to be signed into a law, will have a wide impact as far as the crackdown on illegal immigrants is concerned from the Donald Trump administration. The Laken Riley Act basically lets security forces in the U.S. detain and deport illegal migrants if they have been accused of theft or any other violent crimes, basically including shoplifting, burglary, assault against law enforcement, or any other crime that results in, serious bodily injury to another person. What's important to note here is that even when you're accused, you can still be deported. You don't have to wait for a person to be convicted. If you're an illegal immigrant and you are accused of any crime in the United States, the authorities will have the power to deport you without the court proceedings. This, of course, also leads, the fact that this bill, which is named after Laken Riley, comes from the fact that a Georgia nursing student was murdered last year, back in 2024, by the name of Laken Riley, and the accused was a Venezuelan man, which had led to a lot of outrage among the Native Americans against illegal immigrants. So now that this bill has been passed in the House of Representatives and approved by the Senate, now we'll await, of course, for Donald Trump to sign this into a law, and it is going to, as you said, lead to a wider implication. There are both pros and cons that are being discussed in the United States of America as far as the Laken Riley Act is concerned. Many also say that this is curbing of human rights, and this is These are extreme positions the Trump administration is taking during its crackdown on illegal immigration. But we'll have to wait and watch how this really moves forward in America.
Right, Shreya. Thank you very much for not only getting us more as far as that is concerned, but of course raises several questions as well, and more importantly, how that would impact and what it means in the context of the background of the same. Having said that, we leave the conversation at that. We're slipping in a quick break here on The Big Story. Stay with us. On the other side, our special super fast news tracking all the developments across the globe. Don't go anywhere.